Hello and welcome to History on the Hoof. Today we're in the Wharfedale village of Burnsall in North Yorkshire. It was first mentioned in the Domesday Book in 1086 and was recorded as Burnsall from the English name Brinny and translates to Brinny's Nook of land. It was divided between two owners, Heardwulf and Dreng. The Heardwulf is Anglo-Saxon in origin and Dreng Scandinavian. After the conquest, Heardwulf held his land directly from the crown, whereas Dreng was replaced by a Norman baron. Dreng may have had strong ties to the Danish king Harold. Either way, it shows us that there were people of both Anglo-Saxon and Scandinavian descent living in Burnsall at the time. Heading towards the church, which tells us more about Burnsall 1,000 years ago, we pass what was the grammar school, now a local primary, founded in 1602 by Sir William Craven, a local man made good, who became Lord Mayor of London. The church of St Wilfrid's beside it is traditionally thought to have been founded by him in AD 700. Passing into the churchyard through the rather wonderful weighted gate, the current building of St Wilfrid's dates back to the 13th century, undergoing restoration by Sir William in 1612 and rather more drastically in the 1850s. For the sharp-eyed among us, you can see the Z-shaped mason's marks on the south pier of the tower that match with the 1520 front of Bolton Priory Church and handily reused 12th century medieval grave slabs in the walls. Inside are a wonderful collection of 9th and 10th century Anglo-Scandinavian carvings, made up of crosses, in some cases retaining their bright paint, and Viking hogback gravestones. Many of them were found beneath the floor of the church during the 19th century, others were recovered from the church wall, one from the riverbank below the graveyard, and one from nearby Hartlington, dug up recently in a field known as Chapel Field. They are all made up of local sandstone, and if you have a look at the most complete cross, you can see where the local sculptor had some trouble getting it all to flow. Hogbacks are thought to have been Anglo-Scandinavian grave markers, dating from the 10th to 12th century and found predominantly in northern England and southwest Scotland. They have an upwardly curved ridge, hence the term hogbacked, with bulging sides and a carve with roof tiles, giving the idea of the house of the dead. They can also have clutching beasts at the end, like these three here at Burnsall. The best preserved here has muzzled beasts, possibly bears at each end, gripping a tiled roof below a ridgeline, the eyes, ears and paws clearly visible. The second complete hogback is more worn, probably as it was used as a lintel over the south door, but again it has the outline of two muzzled beasts. The third end piece of what appears to be an undecorated hogback has only one beast at the end. It would be fascinating to know who was once buried beneath. Moving on slightly in time, the font is equally as interesting, building on the same sculptural tradition, a local bloke trying to replicate more fancy pieces elsewhere, perhaps like Durham, and dated to the Norman period or around the 12th century. It shows classic images of 8 bald lions butting heads, which might be representations of Christ or his followers, winged serpents linking biblical stories, and the idea that the blessed or baptised being in heaven. The zigzags on the bottom were often used as like the bright circle around Christ and may represent the power of baptism. These chevrons also show up below the 3-headed cross in the early grave slab on display, nicely dating it. Prior to the restoration of the 1850s, the font was used as a whitewash tub for the church, and if you look carefully, you can still see the paint. The holy water stoup by the door also dates to the 12th century. Also left from the Norman church is the top of a splayed window head and a corbel of a horned ram with protruding tongue. It's rather worn, as originally it would have been on the outside supporting a roof timber. This early 12th century remnant was brought inside and reused during the Victorian restoration. There are many other objects of interest in this lovely church, and as you move down the aisle, take a look at the rather unsettling features of the crucified Christ, which, it is said, was the face of the man who carved it. Our final piece of interest is in the east wall of the chapel in the north aisle, and is an alabaster adoration of the Magi made during the 15th century. It was found here beneath the floor during the restoration work in 1858 and was accidentally chipped by the workman's pickaxe. When it was found, it was said to have been beautifully painted and gilded, which unfortunately soon deteriorated upon exposure, although if you take a careful look, you can still see the fragments. I do wonder if it came from Bolton Priory originally and was saved and subsequently hidden during the Reformation. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of History on the Hoof and look forward to talking to you again soon. If you've liked it, please subscribe.